Hello and welcome to Crime Chronicles. How did major crime boss Gerry Hutch manage to walk free from a landmark murder trial? What did the authorities hear in secret recordings? And how was Hutch linked to a former Sinn Fein councillor? Stay tuned to find out. On Monday, the 17th of April 2023, Gerry Hutch, also known as the Monk, walked free from a court in Dublin. Dressed in a dark blazer with long hair and a grey beard, the Monk had just been found not guilty of being involved in the murder of David Byrne over 7 years before. The explosive trial lasted for 52 days, involved over 140 witnesses, and linked a Dublin city councillor to gangland activity. Gerry Hutch left court as quickly as he could and carved his way through the large group of reporters outside before climbing into a waiting taxi. The Monk maintained a monastic silence to the press's shouted questions. This was the first time he had been free since his arrest in Spain 18 months before. The murder of David Byrne at a boxing weigh-in event at the Regency Hotel had shocked Ireland. The chaotic scenes in the aftermath of Byrne's death were studied in minute detail at the trial. The Regency Hotel event, held by Daniel Kinahan's promotions company, led to a brutal and bloody gangland feud between the Kinahan and Hutch crime empires that has claimed 18 lives to date. Gerard Gerry Hutch was born in Dublin on April 11, 1963, and by the early 1970s his criminal career had already begun. He initially joined a group of inner-city youths called the Bugsy Malone Gang, and yes, they were named after that film. Gerry would go on to lead the gang, which was best known for a series of jump-overs, which involved jumping over bank counters, grabbing the cash, and running. As he got older, he was connected with gangs that amassed an alleged £40 million from a number of major jewellery heists, bank robberies, and fraud scams, which spanned almost 8 years. Hutch would be convicted many times and went to prison on a number of occasions, and he was happy to admit that he was a convicted criminal, though he said he made his money from property deals, not crime. In Ireland, the Criminal Assets Bureau, or CAB, is used to put pressure on gang members when other legal avenues fail. Gerry had been suspected of being involved in a number of multi-million-pound armoured truck robberies, but due to a lack of evidence, the Gardaí couldn't bring charges. As we've seen before, the CAB began to look at Hutch's abundant wealth, even though he had no known legal source of income and claimed to have no money. In order to keep the authorities off his back, Hutch reached an agreement with the CAB and paid more than £2 million to resolve the matter. To pay this settlement, he used money from offshore accounts and sold a number of properties located in central Dublin. Not bad for someone who claimed to have no money. Prior to his run-in with the CAB, Hutch had applied for a taxi licence and had been refused. After the settlement, he reapplied and was granted the licence due to being a fully tax-compliant citizen. The taxi licence was used to start the humorously named Carry Anybody, or CAB, limousine service. It seems that in this instance, the Monk had had the last laugh. The Regency Hotel weigh-in event was held the day before the Clash of the Clans boxing match, a joint Irish and Spanish promotion. Upwards of 250 people, including women and children, were present as the fighters were weighing in. Suddenly, shots began ringing out, which created panic as some people sought shelter in the room, while others ran for the exits. Onlookers spoke of their confusion as the shooters seemed to be dressed as members of the ERU, or Emergency Response Unit, but they wore masks and were carrying AK-47 machine guns. During the trial, CCTV footage would show that these gunmen, in bogus disguises, had arrived in a silver Ford Transit van and parked outside after the event had already started. Other CCTV clips would show that there was another pair involved in the shooting who had entered the hotel through a different door and one of these pair was clearly a man disguised as a woman. Witnesses to this attack say that the assault team seemed to be looking for either a specific person or maybe multiple people. It is unclear if the victim, David Byrne, was the actual target, but as he was running through the lobby toward the exit, he was gunned down by one of the disguised gunmen. A second gunman then jumped the reception counter before shooting multiple times into the body of Mr. Byrne. He died of multiple gunshot wounds to his head and body. The reason authorities don't think David Byrne was the intended target is based on a statement made by one of the photographers on the scene. Aodhan was there to photograph the weigh-in for independent news and media when his colleague, reporter Robin Schiller, spotted Daniel Kinahan at the far side of the Regency suite. After the newsmen had surveyed the room, they went outside and waited on the front steps of the hotel and noticed a van was parked there. Within seconds, the tactical assailants exited the front door of the hotel. Mr. Aodhan said the assailants briskly walked by him towards the silver van. I stood back because I was in fear of my life. I tried to make myself as unthreatening as I could. I said to the guard, "I don't know where I should be," he said. The photographer said at the same time the gunman, dressed as a woman, approached the van from the opposite direction and could be heard saying, "He wasn't there, I couldn't find him," clearly having searched for a specific person. Once the gunmen got into the van, it drove away towards the Charlemont estate and was later found burned out. Over the years, a number of people were charged in connection with the Regency Hotel murder, and one by one the trials collapsed. And then, in April 2021, a European arrest warrant was issued for Gerry Hutch by the Director of Public Prosecutions, who moved that he be charged with murder and tried before the Special Criminal Court. It was also likely that he would face other charges, such as attempted murder and possession of firearms. Hutch was finally arrested in Spain in August of 2021 and extradited to the Republic of Ireland to stand trial for the murder of David Byrne. Hutch had been connected to the crime by Jonathan Dowdall, a former Sinn Fein councillor. Dowdall became a person of interest in the murder of David Byrne when Gerry Hutch and Hutch gang members were seen leaving his house or travelling in vehicles with him. The dominoes started to fall when Hutch associate Shane Rowan was found in possession of assault rifles and ammunition that matched that used in the Regency Hotel shooting. A search warrant was executed at Jonathan Dowdall's home, which turned up nothing connecting him to the shooting. What was found was a USB stick containing footage of Jonathan and his father Patrick waterboarding a man who they had held hostage. Both men were subsequently charged with false imprisonment, detainment without consent, and threats to kill a man who had never made a complaint to the police regarding the incident. This whole ordeal had been filmed by an unidentified third man. Dowdall and his father pled guilty and were given long custodial sentences, which they were both able to reduce on appeal. Although authorities didn't initially find anything linking Dowdall to the Regency shooting, they were able to obtain a warrant to put a tracking and audio device on his vehicle. It was information gleaned from these devices that led to Jonathan Dowdall, his father, and Gerry Hutch being charged with David Byrne's murder. In advance of the trial, the father and son torture duo both pled guilty to reduced charges of facilitating the murder of David Byrne. The murder charge against Jonathan Dowdall was dropped, and he agreed to become a state witness in the case against Gerry Hutch. This decision put him at great risk, and he was assessed for the witness protection program. During the trial, Dowdall made many claims that could have linked Gerry Hutch to the killing, even saying that Hutch had confessed to the killing when they had been travelling together. Remember the tracking and audio devices attached to Dowdall's vehicle? Well, although these recorded the pair discussing some nefarious activity, Hutch never explicitly confessed to any direct involvement in the murder. Furthermore, Hutch's defence team painted Dowdall as a master manipulator and an opportunistic liar, who had a mixed relationship with the truth. Summing up the evidence, the judge said the audio recording does not provide independent evidence to support Dowdall's allegations against Hutch, and the established facts did not marry together. The audio does not contain any direct admission by Gerard Hutch that he was actually present at the Regency and was a shooter, said Justice Burns. Indeed, the opposite appears to be the case. And with that, the three-judge panel found Gerry the Monk Hutch not guilty of David Byrne's murder. Although others in the orbit of the Hutch criminal gang have been found guilty of being involved in the crime in various ways, no one has ever been found guilty of the shooting. The case remains open, and for now, Gerry the Monk Hutch remains a free man. Thank you for joining us for today's story. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribing to Crime Chronicles helps us to keep bringing you exciting stories. Don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of new content.